I wanted to start off and say this is not a sales presentation. This is basically a topic about strategies, really to help your shop rank much better out there on the web, particularly Google, as I call the modern day yellow pages, and really help people in need of auto repair find you. So I won't make everybody do individual introductions. Just to kind of have some fun with it, there's going to be one lucky person that walks away with a $50 Amazon gift card. This is definitely a small enough group to kind of talk about stuff. So if there's any maybe hurdles or any questions that you've had maybe for a long time that you've kind of built up, or maybe either are afraid to ask, or maybe you just haven't got around to it, let's use this platform as an opportunity to talk about that. So I'm absolutely happy to help you. So without further ado, just kind of going forward, the agenda, just kind of what to expect over the next 60 or so minutes. I'll give you an introduction of me and my background. We'll define SEO. What's the true meaning of SEO? Optimizing your local SEO, which is really what matters because we want to drive traffic to your shop. Keyword targeting, unique content, or custom content, and then we'll get into some discussions after that. So a little background about myself. On the far left, that's my ugly mug right there. I've been in the industry for about 7 years now. I was working for another CRM company years ago. I am Google AdWords certified. I took all my certifications and I passed them. I won't tell you whether or not it was through the first time, but I ended up passing them. I'm in the middle of finalizing my SEO certification. I'm about 95% complete. I've been an instructor for the ASA Colorado Summit over the past couple years. They invited me. It's actually next week in Denver, so I'm super excited to teach automotive repair shop owners like yourselves. If some of you who follow us on Facebook or through social media, we bought a van for my company, and we're doing this. The goal is to see 1,000 shops. I've been over 800 across the country, and there's a purpose to it. The whole idea is to really understand, from a shop owner's perspective, what types of pain points they have, SEO included. It's kind of the main thing is actually having people find you when they're in need of repair. I'm currently working on an initiative with another shop owner to educate high school students about careers in the automotive technician. So I'm super pumped up about that. And over the past 3 years, I've actually spent a lot of time researching on the customer journey, really developing strategies, for new customer acquisition and retention. So just kind of a high-level overview of who I am and my background. So what is SEO? I always want to start by defining what SEO is. Search engine optimization. And what that is it's the practice of increasing the quantity and quality of traffic to your website through organic search engine results. Okay. So what that means is, as we go along, we'll kind of learn what that means. So what's the most important thing from SEO to your business, right? So I've labeled these in bullet points, and I'll just kind of go through them, right? So keeping your brand in front of people. It's really all about keeping your brand in front of people, particularly with millennials, because most millennials are busy professionals. They're on the road, and they may not need that oil change right now, or they may not need that recommended maintenance right now. But say if they were just kind of cruising through Google, or if they happen to stumble across your Facebook page, it would instantly click a reminder that they have to get that next service. You could target a specific type of customer. That's a beautiful part about SEO. Every shop is different, right? Every shop has a different goal. There's people that specialize in transmission repairs, Hondas, maybe European stuff, alignment, and we'll get into more of that in a minute. But you can target a specific audience. As long as your website's developed with the right formula, and I'll get into the formula here in a minute, you can generate a quick call to action and really have a high conversion rate. More importantly, at the end of the day, it's all about ROI, as I tell my shops. Increasing your car count, increasing your average repair order, and showing year-over-year overall growth. So how people find your shop today, right? So obviously Google's the modern day yellow pages, right? So I don't care if I'm getting my teeth whitened or if I'm looking for a restaurant or a repair shop, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Google. A lot of other folks don't think like that. Even though the vast majority of folks do, you still have your people who have installed their Yelp apps, their YP.com apps, their Bing, their Yahoo, and so on, right? I think it's about 80% of people access Google first as a primary, but that other 20%, they're using a secondary resource. It's important to have your shop information consistent across the web, and we'll get into how that plays into SEO a little bit down the line. But making sure that your shop information is consistent across the web is critical. In fact, the more places that you actually have accurate information, the more that Google trusts your website and your shop to be what they consider high quality, trusted and high quality. So in today's internet age, right, you have to make sure that your shop is visible on what I call the most heavily trafficked highways in the world, or the internet highways, right? So we all know the main ones. We've got Google, Facebook, and then kind of the secondary, the backup is what I call like Bing and Yahoo, and Yelp as a secondary backup. So you want to make sure that your information is visible. Here's some information, and if you have a cell phone, I'd encourage you maybe, and I'll give you a heads up of some good stuff to take pictures of, and I'm happy to share my slides with you guys as well. But I've really kind of consolidated this to three kind of buckets, right? So local SEO, keyword targeting, and original or unique content and call to action. The first thing I want to talk about is location, right? So location is absolutely everything. Community involvement. And if somebody maybe wants to kind of volunteer, because remember, we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card. So, I like group participation, but maybe is there anybody that like is part of like the Chamber of Commerce or does community events, or maybe there's some type of fundraiser or anything like that you guys not only do, but advertise on your current website? If somebody wants to step up, that would be great.
Ben, how about your women's? Okay.
Yeah. Ben's all about it. Lady.
Women's Car Care
Ben's
Council?
Auto Body does a women's car care clinic, basically. Car care fair at their shop. It's a pretty big deal.
Wow. And then Ben, how's it going, Ben? I know Ben. Do you advertise that on your website?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. And just so you know, here's how it works. Here's kind of the standard kind of flow, right? So interestingly, and it may sound scary, but Google follows each of our locations from our mobile device. Anywhere you go, Google's actually tracking that. So let me give you an example, right? So like, let's say if I attended the local church out there in Columbia, and your shop is less than, say, a mile away from that church. If I need to get my brakes done and I type that into Google, like brake repair, Google's automatically going to connect us because I've been less than a mile away from your shop, because remember, it recognizes that my church is less than a mile away from the shop, and B, I'm in need of a brake job, and they know that your shop does brake repair. So it kind of forms this match, if you will. So the things that you're doing, Ben, in terms of like the women's, the car care clinics and things like that, again, community involvement, Chamber of Commerce, anything that you could do locally can help with your SEO and Google rankings. It plays a big part in your rankings factors. All right, so local directories. Go ahead, James.
I got a question real quick. Yep. Now, you said that involvement can help with your SEO. That's only if you put that out there, right? Because Google's not going to know if you volunteered at the church bakery if somehow you didn't post it, right?
Exactly. So like Ben's doing, that's why he advertises that on his website. So what he does is he does these women's car clinics, and what happens is Google kind of matches like from a proximity perspective. So if let's say he's on 123 Main Street, and if I'm like say within a mile radius and I need to get my brakes done, he's going to kind of match the two people that's closest to him, because they recognize the community involvement. If that women's car care clinic was kind of a local thing where they advertise like whatever city Ben is in, they'll recognize that. So when people actually go to Google to find whatever type of repair, they kind of form that match, and his name typically will be populated as what Google calls a 3-pack, or organic searches.
Okay. Now, Mike, what if he just did write up on his Facebook page and didn't put it on his website? Would that still get him some advancement on it?
That's a different algorithm. So SEO really plays a lot, and social media is a big part of SEO. And I'll get into the SEO through social media in a minute. But in terms of his website traffic, so what he does locally, it plays a significant part. And I'm actually going to provide you guys with sort of a cheat sheet on Google rankings factors to understand what really Google looks for to help with ranking position. But primarily, as long as he's localizing his website first, then if somebody's in need of auto repair, they'll form that match from a proximity standpoint, and the shop name can easily be populated. So community events, participation, like I said, Chamber of Commerce is a big one. Anything locally that they're doing and they're advertising that on their website, it helps with rankings factors. Social media as well,
Okay.
but on the website stuff, because if you think about the customer journey, right? So like, say somebody's car is stuck on the side of the road. First thing that they're doing is grabbing their iPhone or their Samsung and tapping their Google app, and then they find options for repair shops or body shops, right? The second step in that customer journey is they click the website link, and then it redirects them to that person's website automatically. Now, that's kind of organic searches to easily be populated. Now, if they were failing on a website perspective, it's very likely that their shop social media might pop up first. But more so, if they had a website that was high quality, it'll pull up the website first. So local directories, right? So your shop information, it needs to be consistent across the web. Even though roughly 80% of people who need information, they go to Google, as I mentioned, right now Google's crawling the web looking for consistency. So it's a good idea, actually encouraged from an SEO perspective, to go to your Bing, claim it. Go to your Yahoo, claim it. Judy's Book, Kudzu, YP.com. Go to all these sites and make sure that your information is consistent across the web. And it could be something as simple as, if your shop's on, say, 123 East Main Street, and your E period on Google, but on Yelp you're EAST, that's an inconsistency. So it's going to make it difficult for people to find you. So I'm going to give some tips here on auditing our consistency across the web. But it's a good best practice for SEO, just to make sure that your shop information, phone numbers, address, everything is consistent across the web. So what is NAP consistency? It covers almost 15% of Google rankings factors, so it's a big deal. As I mentioned, right now Google's crawling the web, and they're looking at every possible site you could imagine. Hundreds of different, what they call online directories, right? Over 100 different online directories, maps, mobile, pretty much everything out there on the web, and they're making sure that your shop information is consistent across the web. As I mentioned, it covers almost 15% of your rankings factors. So, SEO, these are tips to kind of do it yourself. And the way to do it yourself is to crawl the web yourself and look and see what's out there and make sure that your information is consistent across the web. So as far as auditing the NAP, or the name, address, and phone number consistency, here's a couple of bullet points that I created. And this too, if you want to snap a picture of this, feel free to do that. Or if you want to email me in the end, I could send you a copy of the slide. But the first thing I listed was perform a Google search on your business name to make sure that your business is spelled correctly on your search results. It's again, East, I always see that. West, like, people abbreviate that stuff all the time. Numeric stuff, just make sure your stuff is consistent. Like what you see on Google, make sure that it's the same as Yahoo. And if it's not, claim it and then send in a contact us for that particular search engine. Second thing is check your address to make sure that your address listing is, matches the address that's actually on your website. Third thing is check your phone number on your local listing to make sure that your main business phone number is listed correctly on all of your search results. And then the final thing, Moz is a third-party SEO company, and what they do is they compare your listings for free. I know that there's a service that they compare your listings for free, and it's just MOZ. I believe it's moz.com, but the company's Moz, and they are a third-party SEO company that helps with making sure that your information is consistent across the web. So how NAP consistency relates to SEO. So we talked about that a second ago. Search engines are all about consistency, and I can't stress that enough. So just kind of in the example that you see here, that's your basic desktop organic Google search, right? I typed in one of our local shops here in Northern California. His address is 1065 Washington Street, but it's ST, not STREET, because that's how he is across the web. San Carlos, and then the zip code, phone numbers all match the website. Hours of operation matches what's on Google. So this is what kind of an example of what a clean Google page looks like, to make sure that what you're comparing it to, it's all in line. Here's another thing I encourage you to take a picture of. Just a couple of stats, and then 20% of internet users on online time is spent on content. Content's key, and we'll get into content here in a second. But what you have on your site that other competitive shops around you don't have, that's a huge deal. 68% of people spend time reading about brands that interest them. 57% of people read content marketing titles at least once a month, and then 80% of people appreciate learning about a company through custom content. So remember, a key thing to ask yourself as you're creating your own, SEO is what you have on your site that other competitive shops actually don't have on their site. What separates you from everybody else? Keyword targeting. This is the fun part to me. You have the ability to target any type of customer that you're looking for, or any type of jobs. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say, and I hear this pretty often, like you just bought a brand new like hunter alignment rack, and you need to do more alignments. Boom. Let's create a services page for alignments. Maybe you just hired a new ASE certified master tech that is Toyota certified. He spent 15 years at Toyota, right? And he gets those Toyotas in and out of the bays, and those are high AROs, dream cars, right? So you want to target more Toyotas. Let's create a page for that specific brand. So around keyword targeting, it's a type of audience that you're really looking to attract, either brand or type of customer. Same thing with, I hear often the term bottom feeders, right? So most shops don't want to track those people that are looking for maybe super cheap discount. I'm a big believer in value, creating a sense of value and giving a deal to a customer. But obviously the deal has to make sense for the shop. You're a small business owner. So let's say you wanted to completely wipe out any oil changes, and you wanted to focus more on the heavier maintenance stuff, the belts and hoses, brakes, things like that. You can set your keywords, create unique content around those keywords to target those specific type of people. So if I go to Google and if I type in Toyota brake repair near me, and I'm, Google's obviously, they're tracking your location. So if I'm in Columbia, your name would be populated at the very top organically, making it easy for people to find you. So keyword targeting is figure out what type of customer that you're looking to attract. That's actually kind of the starting point. Like, what's your goals and expectations? What do you want as far as brand coming into your shop? Do you have a specialty? Do you have Mercedes-Benz diagnostic machine? You're trying to bring more Mercedes-Benz, right? Understand where you're at, where you want to be, and then create keyword targeting around that. All right. Choosing your keywords. This kind of goes back to what I said a second ago about understanding kind of where you're at. But I'll just go through just some tips that Google likes to see, is what I've noticed from Google historically, right? So they must be relevant to your business. Obviously, you guys aren't going to be using keywords that are related to like donuts and coffee, right? We want maintenance. We want maybe domestic vehicles, Japanese stuff, whatever, right? So they must be related to your business. There must be a reasonable number of people searching for this term, right? Auto repair near me. That's a very, very common one. There must not be a large amount of competition for this keyword. If you have these heavily polluted areas, like these metropolitan cities, like say Denver or San Francisco or Dallas, it's really difficult because they have hundreds, if not thousands of shops, right? So it must not be heavily polluted with competition. Your keywords should have good money value, so some type of sense of value. So people searching for this should be purchasers, right? So like, I know some of us like to look at our site and kind of play around with different searches to how we rank. Google has an eye for that kind of stuff. And what's interesting is they're able to actually figure out, like, just by location. Some people even do the incognito mode on Google, but Google is aware of all that stuff, right? So, and then kind of the final thing that I added is some tips. Consider abbreviations. KC, Kansas City, is a big one. I don't know anybody that fully types out Kansas City. I always see them do KC. And what your target customer is. So if you guys are trying to target, say, Ford truck repair, create a landing page and some unique content around Ford truck repair, transmission repair, brake repair. Figure out what type of car or what type of service maybe that you want coming into your bays, and create a keyword campaign around that. So kind of some best practices, and this is one of those Kodak moments too, if you want to snap a picture. Don't overdo the keywords. Just make sure it's a nice, consistent flow across your website. I've seen websites that are just polluted with just data, and people kind of lose focus. They lose interest, close a browser and try to find somebody else because it's just, there's so much content. So just make sure there's a consistent flow and there's a theme. Don't target keywords that you don't want to show up. I mentioned the term penny pinchers, right? Or bottom feeders, I've heard, right? So if you're not, looking for the cheap oil changes, don't add that stuff to your website. Do target in your area, as Ben's doing with the Women's Car Care Clinic. Do stuff like that. Continuously update it. And if you have access to, if your website's built on what's called a dynamic platform, and you actually have access to make any changes directly from your own dashboard, or maybe you have a reputable company that's doing it, lean on them, encourage them. There's even people that do custom content, like contractors who do custom content. Locate one of those people who do it specifically for automotive. These are the people that's going to help with your rankings position. And then the final kind of thing is, do list all of your service on a dedicated service page. So if I go to your website and if I either hover over your services tab or I click on the tab, make sure everything in there is accurate. Like, you're able to provide every single thing on that list. And if you're missing something, either go to your own dashboard to change it on your website, or contact the company that's managing it to help them make that change. The interesting thing about SEO is there's so many components that come into it, and frankly, even the best of the best learn every single day. It's really difficult, to catch up to Google. Google changes its algorithm, basically how you're perceived on the web. They change it at least 400 times per year. So what was relevant on Google yesterday is no longer relevant today, because it's an ever-changing animal, and that's why most operators will hire companies to actually to manage it for them and kind of stay ahead of the curve for them, because it gets complicated. But if there's any other questions on that piece, please let me know. So I want to shift gears and talk about reviews and how this plays into SEO. So does anybody, and without throwing anybody under the bus, so out of the 20 people that are in there, does anybody, I guess, not have a website? Does anybody's reviews do not go to the website, or do they not have any reviews on their website? And it's okay. This is a close group. I don't judge. I've seen a lot. So it sounds like everybody there has a website, which is obviously a great first step. The kind of the second question to that is, do they have reviews on their website, either fixed on their website, or a Google link, say, hey, read my Google reviews, or reviews that automatically stream in there, that come in there and display on the website? Are all of the reviews that you're collecting from your customers, whether through Google, Yelp, through a CRM company, do you guys all have reviews on your website?
Everybody's nodding yes.
Okay, awesome. So this plays into the rankings factors as well, right? So SEO is what I mean. So and it covers almost 5% of Google rankings position. Google rankings factors. They want to see reviews. 71% of people are influenced by what they see online before they decide to pick up the phone and give you a call. In addition to that, Google sees that as a trusted company. So the more reviews that you actually have on your website, either if you have a link that says, read my Yelp reviews, read my Google, and then you click it and then it redirects them to your Yelp or your Google page, Google actually, you're considered a trusted company with the more reviews that you have. So continue guys, doing what you're doing and keep those reviews on your website, because it does, it is a factor in your rankings position as well. So blogging platform, website newsletters. So I realize that, shop owners aren't fans of blogs, and I get it, because, we're pulled in a million different directions, right?
Hey, we did have a question from Paula.
My question is, if you Google a shop and then Google pulls up 6 shops, the first one might have 5 stars, the next one might have 2 stars. So why would Google rank somebody that the stars, they only get 2 stars? Why would they be ranking in the top 6?
Yeah, it's, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Paula. Thank you so much. That's a great question. Google has kind of a weird way of doing things. And I don't think any company actually has that, can ever break the Da Vinci Code, if you will. They kind of send teasers, which is, my company's a Google Premier partner, so they kind of help us out with tips and to understand that. I've seen it where people didn't even have websites and they're coming up organically much better. My personal belief is that they want to sort of tease those shops that are low quality. So the guys that have the 2 reviews, to tease them, give them that higher rankings position so that their calls, their people are initiating that call to action. So they're getting those calls a lot quicker, and then they're going to shut it off. So they're going to scratch their head going, what happened to my rankings position? So my feeling is that Google kind of plays some games when it comes to that. The other piece to that too is there's so many factors that come into rankings position. Review signals is almost 5% of them. There's other components, which I'll show you here in a second, Paula, that come into Google rankings position. You may have more reviews than that competitor, but maybe their website is more relevant to what that person is searching. Maybe they have unique content on their website that separates them from any other competitor, right? Maybe they have what's called a unique call to action. That's basically kind of a catchy phrase. So family owned and operated since 1974. Superior customer service, state of the art facility. There's all those components that come into it, Paula. And my guess is that it on a scale of high quality, it probably ranks probably a little bit better, even though they have less reviews.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So blog platform, as I mentioned, I know that we're not fans of blogs because they do, take time. We're dealing with our customers, we're dealing with our team members, doing the books, all that stuff. Blogs do help with your SEO, your rankings position. So I always encourage shop owners to come in here and just, write a blog, whether it's through their own platform, whether they're going through another marketing company, whatever their situation is, make sure that you have that fresh content there. And I listed just kind of a couple of bullet points, right? So you know that you're the expert in your industry. So it's all about educating people. I always encourage shop owners to go in there and write a blog at least once every 2 months. That's kind of, if you could do it once a month, that's more favorable. But once every 2 months, initiate a blog. So you're the expert, right? Show customers how much you know about how to prepare your cart for winter. The more content you have on your website, the more Google will trust your page and display it on search results. This is what we were just talking about, right? So you're a trusted automotive repair facility. Why are you trusted? Because you're writing all this material, you're educating your customers as to why you're the expert. And then the final bullet point, as I mentioned, so you educate your customers instead of just selling them on a service, right? We're teaching people about, and I know that you guys are dealing with some, I want to say some nasty weather. I know certain parts of Missouri is, but Columbia, you guys probably got the snow too and the black ice and stuff like that. What are some tips on not sliding on black ice, right? I'm from California, and James knows me. I go out there, a couple times a year. Fortunately enough, I know how to drive on that stuff. But if I'm brand new, and if I, out there in Missouri, and I don't know how to drive on black ice, I'm slipping and sliding because I don't know those tips. So, the more that you engage with your audience, the more Google sees it and considers you that trusted partner. On-page optimization. So this is kind of when I was talking to Paula about the reviews and the group about the reviews. So I had mentioned a few things, unique content. Again, and you probably want to make a note of that. What you have on your website that other competitive shops around you don't have. Second thing is the unique call to action. So just kind of that catchy phrase, right? Collision and auto repair center. Google likes to see the city name. I've noticed that shops get less penalized when you actually have more relevancy. Google likes relevancy. So if you say like Kansas City diesel expert, Columbia's #1 Toyota repair facility, trusted hybrid repair since 2001. Those types of what they call unique call to action initiates that. The other piece to that is a few other components. So brand, right? We want a recognizable brand. You have any certifications or affiliations? Obviously ASA Midwest, right? Let's throw that ASA banner on there. Are your techs ASE, masters, right? Again, maybe, I don't know if if you have that women's car care clinic, if you have a logo, slap that logo on your website, right? Let people know that you're the trusted advisor, the trusted automotive repair facility. And again, try to leverage the city name as much as possible, because the reality is if you put yourself in the shoes of a customer, right? I gave kind of the analogy or the scenario where they're stuck on the side of the road, right? But what if their car's making a weird noise? First thing that they do, remember, they grab their phone, iPhone or Android or Samsung, they tap their Google app, and then you have to kind of capture their interest. So you have to come across as like really the trusted automotive repair facility. You do that through your affiliations. ASE, BBB, AAA, things like that. And then the final piece to that is content builds brand reputation, trust, and perception to increase conversion rate, meaning out of the legitimate customers who go to your website, how many of those people actually convert into closed out ROs? How many of them convert into customers, right? As I mentioned, Google loves relevancy, right? Again, think about that customer journey, right? I need to get my car fixed. They grab their iPhone, they type in whatever they're typing in. Google wants to make sure that you're related. I kind of gave the example a minute ago about the church, right? I'm near you. They track my location. I need auto repair. Boom, your name gets populated. Your site also has to be mobile friendly. I mentioned the reviews. Any backlinks, maybe to the Chamber of Commerce or the Women's Car Care Council or the Women's Car Clinic, any relevant content that pulls up of what people type within your geographical area. So this is the page that kind of what I call the cheat sheet. Google calls it the rankings factors. So I'll leave it up here for a minute. And again, I encourage you guys maybe take out those phones and snap a picture. But this is sort of a high level overview of what Google considers their rankings factors. Okay, and I'll just go over a couple of these. So social signals. I think it was James that had asked the question about having the stuff on Facebook. Absolutely, you have to have an active Facebook page. As you see there, it covers 5% of Google rankings factors. So you want your Facebook and your Twitter and your YouTube and any type of social media. You want those links listed on your website. That covers 5% of rankings factors. The review signals we were just talking about with Paula, 8.4% of rankings factors. Either you stream reviews directly to your Facebook or your website, or you're automatically, putting a hyperlink which redirects people to your Google reviews. Either way, they want to see some sort of review signals. The more reviews that you have, the better. External location signals. This is what I was talking about with the NAP consistency, name, address, and phone number. As I mentioned, Google's crawling the web and they're looking at every possible site under the sun. Everything from Yahoo to Bing, Judy's Book, Kudzu, YP.com, absolutely everything. And they're making sure that your information is consistent. So once again, I hate to sound like a broken record, guys, but just perform that audit. Make sure that your information looks the same across as many different channels, or there's other companies that you can hire for that. Yext is one of them. Yext.com is a company that makes sure that you're consistent across the web. Page speed and responsiveness. So I'll start with page speed. Now, this plays into your rankings factors through Google, but more importantly, you want to make sure that the page speed is loaded in an appropriate time, which Google considers 4 seconds or less. Okay, so if I go to your website from my mobile phone If it takes more than 4 seconds to load, and especially with this generational shift, right, going from X, like from boomers to X to Y, millennials, right? Millennials have zero patience because they know they have options. So if your page is not loading within 4 seconds, that user is going to become less interested. They're going to close the browser out and start shopping around to your competitors if it's not loading in time. Because the perception is, you go to Google, you type in auto repair Columbia, I'm going to pull up at least 50 shops. I'll pull the first 3, but if I click on the more places, what's going to happen is it's going to collapse and it's going to show me all the shops within, whatever, a 10-mile radius. And I'm going to have options to choose from, right? So make sure that those page speed, like your loading time, I'll show you some tools and some links here in a second, but page speed has to be at the top of mind. The other piece is responsive. Now, responsive basically means it fits within the frame of whatever device that user's on. So if they're on like a Samsung, or if they're on an iPad or an Android or iPhone, it automatically fits within the frame. I know most of us have gone to websites on our mobile phone. They're not responsive, so the font is really small. You have to, take your 2 fingers, increase it, zoom it in, scroll around, move. You want to be able to limit the finger tapping, and responsive sites actually do that. Again, this plays into Google rankings factors as well. So, and I know these links are super long. You could either you just snap a picture of them. I think the easiest route is just to go to Google and type in what's in the black there where it says page speed test, mobile friendly test. And then the last one there, I don't know if it's going to come up through Google because I know that we were one of the only companies that actually got that link, but I'll show you, what it actually looks like. So, this is just kind of an example right here of the mobile friendly test, right? Back in 2015, Google did a study and they found that 75% of people who access Google, they did it from a mobile device. So what they did is they required that every site has to be mobile friendly. Otherwise, you're going to become irrelevant on the web. This may not be news to most of you, but just kind of, you want to probably use this link to just double check your mobile friendly scores. The other piece is your page speed insights, right? Both from a mobile perspective and a desktop perspective. So they'll give you the optimization score. This one says 47 out of 100 for mobile, which is really what we care about because remember, over 70% of people access Google from a mobile device. And then desktop at 58 out of 100. So obviously this site needs work. You could kind of go through how to fix these things. Google will probably call you a million times to try to sell you on something, but this gives you a general idea of your page speed insights. And then that last link that I showed you in the back there, or at the bottom on the slide, this is probably the more important test here. And I can, if you want, I could just kind of send you the link directly, or you could just, again, take a picture or write it down. But basically what you do is you plug in your URL, you click load, and it gives you your average loading time and how they rank you. The most important piece to this is your estimated visitor loss. So as an example, this non-competing shop, I think they're in California, Google's estimating the visitor loss or the lead loss to be at 31%. So they're missing out on 31% of their business or their calls to action specifically because of their page speed loading time. So you want to make sure that your page, once again, loads in 4 seconds or less, and it's in the green and it says good or excellent in your loading times. And then if you want to take note on the far right side here where there's 3 little dots. So this would be the first dot showing your estimated visitor loss. This is the second one for industry comparison. So this is an automotive repair facility, right? So top performers are always between 4.1 and 5 seconds, okay? You're all the way at 12 seconds, which is obviously it's categorized in the poor range. You want to be in the dark green to the green, obviously when you when you have your site. So you could test your website by going to that, take a look at it, and then work either I don't know if you guys develop your own site or if you use a company, but either way, work on your page speed because for Google to estimate this particular shop right here to be at 31% visitor loss, they're missing out on a lot of opportunity. There's a monumental lead loss a missed opportunity because the page isn't loading on time. It's so interesting. And I remember, James, we talked from 5-6 years ago, just how Google has evolved. They are tracking absolutely everything. And I'll bet the farm that this is estimated visitor loss, but this is highly accurate. They know who clicks on what, the average loading times, interest and attention once they're on your website, call to action, conversion rates. I mean, it's such a detailed process that Google is aware of absolutely everything. And I remember, in the years and pretty recently too, where we're so freaked out by this stuff. And to this day, it is a little daunting, but it helps us as small business owners know who our customers are, know what they're using, to type into Google to find us. We know all of these different things. It's scary, but in a good way for small business owners. So the industry comparison, and then the final thing is just basically it just tells you how to fix it, how to reduce the loading time on that. Okay, that's kind of the final piece, to the SEO. And feel free to, I want to leave it open to discussion or questions. Anything that I either covered or had not covered, maybe that you're curious to know, feel free to just ask away. That's what I'm here for. I want to make sure that you all walk away with something maybe that you hadn't known before, and you're able to actually go to your shop, or either, if I know all y'all have websites, either do it yourself or work with your current marketing company, the one that hosts your website. Work with them to do it. But is there any burning questions? If you ever have any questions, you could feel free to either call or text me or email me directly, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have. So I hope to meet everyone at Vision, and you guys take care, and God bless you.